everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Nurse Lee, and on my channel I'm going to be talking about mainly nursing, some beauty, and lifestyle. So if you're interested in any of those topics, hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell so that you will be the first one to be notified when I post my videos. And on today's topic, I'm going to be talking about first day off of orientation as a new nurse, and I'll also be giving you guys tips on how to stay organized as a new nurse. So if you're interested in the tips I have for you guys, stay tuned. So first, let me start by talking about my experience as a new nurse with my preceptor no longer by my side. I'm off orientation, and it's me on my own. The nerves came back. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because I don't have anyone by my side. Like, I'm independent now as a nurse. And I just had to stay calm, honestly, and just remember everything that my preceptor taught me. I had to just recall what she taught me and look at my notes that I took while I was on orientation, review it so that I would be prepared to be on my own. So, and she prepared me well. Like, she built my confidence. I mean, she believed in me, encouraged me to believe in myself. She really helped me out, and she was a great preceptor. So some of the things I did the night before going to work without my preceptor, like before going to work off orientation, was I made sure the night before, I made sure that I had my uniform ready. I made sure I had all my supplies together, like my stethoscope, my little fanny pack that I keep my work supplies in. I made sure I packed my lunch because, I have to make sure that I eat in order to keep my energy going. I said a prayer before going to sleep, and I made sure that I got enough sleep, because waking up in the morning and not having enough rest in your system is just how I personally can't function well. So I made sure I went to bed on time so I can get enough sleep. All right, so then I go into work. I'm like, all right. So, and everyone's asking me, are you on your own now? Are you by yourself now? And I'm like, yeah, I'm by myself. I'm on my own. So, they were congratulating me and like, yeah, you'll do fine. You'll do fine. You'll do fine. So I got to work early, reviewed my patients. Like, I looked at my assignment board to see which patients I would have, logged into the computer, reviewed my patients' charts and everything, and I got my report sheet. I used a Kardex to write down everything, like fill in the blanks from my patient report, so that when I get report from the nurse, then I'll already know what's going on with my patient. So I'm filling in my Kardex report sheet, and I get report from the nurse, asking questions and making sure that I knew what was going on with my patients. And I just followed my baseline morning routine. I can talk about my baseline morning routine in another video and just go step by step on what I do on a typical day as a nurse to care for my patients. So I did everything that my preceptor taught me, and the day actually didn't go as bad as I thought it would go, but me being by myself for the first time. And I was very grateful and thanking God, like, oh, okay, it's not so bad after all, not having my preceptor by my side. I just remember that if there's something I didn't know, then ask questions, get clarification, ask questions. So so it's not as bad as I thought. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be at all. Now, let's jump right into the tips on how to stay organized as a new nurse. Tip number 1, gather your basic supplies. And when I say gather your basic supplies, I mean, for like, go to work with, have like a fanny pack. You can easily get a fanny pack anywhere, Amazon, Walmart. Or, you know, us nurses, our uniforms have a lot of pockets in them. So we can also like stuff like basic supplies in our pockets. But gather your basic supplies, such as if you need flushes, you need alcohol pads, you can get the little 4x4 pads. Just put all of these in your fanny pack or your pocket. Get tape, get the little green cure caps that you put on the IV when you're not using it. Get every basic supply you need so that you're not running back and forth to the supply room to get what you need. Unless you work at a place where all the supplies are already in the room, then hey, kudos to you. That's great. But where I work, we have a supply room where we have to get all of our supplies. So I make sure I gather my supplies so I'm not doing a lot of running back and forth. It really eliminates the running back and forth in and out of the patient's room. And you can do all your care at one time without having to interrupt your care. So that's tip number 1, is gather your supplies. Tip number 2, and if you wonder why I keep looking down, I have the tips on my phone. Tip number 2, use a report sheet. I use a Kardex report sheet, which helps me a lot. It's not too busy on there. When the report sheets look too busy, I tend to like get lost in them. So I'll link an example of the Kardex I use below, and I just use the Kardex, fill in the patient's information. It keeps everything organized on one page. So it's very helpful for me. That's how I stay organized when I'm getting and giving report. So I use that Kardex report sheet to stay organized, and I just fill in the blanks. And whatever I don't get from the patient's chart, I either ask the doctor or I get report from the nurse. But I do use those report sheets to stay organized. So that's another thing you can do to stay organized as a new nurse. It doesn't even have to be a Kardex report sheet. It can be any nursing report sheet that you find online. And you can use that to stay organized. Tip number 3, follow your baseline morning routine. Every unit has a different baseline morning routine, and on my unit that I work, the med-surg unit, I follow my morning baseline routine, and that includes coming into work, getting report. After getting report, see my patients, do my assessments. After my assessment, I document it immediately. It's easier for me to document it right then and there so that, you know, it's in real time and I don't miss anything. Then I go back, check my labs, and then look up their medications they're supposed to get, go pull my medications, all the scheduled medications, I pull them, and etc. So I follow my baseline morning routine, and then keep flowing as the day goes on. If your patient has to go to any procedures or imaging, then I keep the flow going. At least I know how to get the day started, which is what I mean by the baseline routine. So that's what I do, and in another video I'll get more in depth on the baseline routine. So that was just a brief synopsis of, you know, what I do to stay organized. Tip number 4. Use sticky notes. I use sticky notes to stay organized, and I've really found it very helpful in terms of like remembering to do things, because 12 hours is pretty much half of the whole day. It's a long time. So like if my patient tells me, oh, can you ask the doctor about so-and-so and get back to me? I write it down on my sticky note. If the doctor tells me something, I write it down that they want me to tell the patient. I write it down on my sticky note so that I'm constantly referring back to that sticky note to remember what I have to do. It's very, very helpful for me. If there's anything abnormal going on with my patients that I have to tell the doctor, I write it down immediately, report back to the doctor. You know, everything basically, like I said before, like everything I feel like I need to remember, you know, or I feel like, oh, I might just forget about doing that, I write it down. If I've given a patient a pain medication at a certain time and I need to go back and reassess that patient in like 30 minutes to an hour, I write down the patient's name, the pain medication I gave, the pain score, and then the time I'm going to reassess them. And then I do that, you know, if I did vital signs and anything was abnormal, and I know I need to recheck that for that particular patient, write the patient's name down. After I write the patient's name down, I will write down the abnormal vital signs, the intervention, and then I'll go back and reevaluate my patient. So the sticky notes are very helpful for me to stay organized, and I refer back to them a lot so that I remember what I'm doing, and I just, you know, keep track of everything and don't forget vital things that I'm supposed to do. So those are the 4 tips I have for you guys today. I hope that you found it very helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And also, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment box below. If there's any topic you want me to discuss, also leave it in the comment box below. I'm open to talking about different topics that interest you guys. Thank you all so much for joining Nurse Lee. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell below. Have a blessed day. Bye.